Yo, 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 happy Tuesday, everyone. My name is Justin Moore, founder of Creator Wizard, where I teach you how to find and negotiate your dream brand partnerships. Back at you for another live stream today. Today, we got a kind of a juicy subject line or title of this one. Again, the real reason creators get lowballed. Maybe you clicked on this because you have had this frustration in the past where you're talking with a brand, negotiating, feels like everything is going really well, and then they say, "Great, we're going to give you our best offer, yet," and it's $200 or something, and you're like, "Come on now." In fact, I was just on a coaching call with someone in my private community and shared that this was something that just happened to them where the brand, they thought that the brand was going to roll out the red carpet only to realize that that they only wanted to give them free product. And that was very frustrating. I just realized that I did not turn on my Instagram live stream. So let me do that right now. I'm not sure if I can do this while I'm streaming. Maybe I can. We'll see what happens. But yes, excited to do the live stream today. Drop it in the chat where you are tuning in from. It's kind of a drizzly day here in Minneapolis. It's crazy enough. We're supposed to get maybe plowable snow tonight. I thought winter was over, but I guess not. So yeah, let me know where you're tuning in from today. Again, I'm going live across YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, you name it. Cherise said hello from sunny Los Angeles. Well, you know what? First of all, I'm happy for you that is sunny in Los Angeles, but it's not here. But I'm going to be seeing you shortly in San Antonio, where it's supposed to be amazing weather for our first in-person event in less than 2 weeks in San Antonio. So excited for that. We've got Leroy tuning in from X or from Twitter, all the way from Netherlands. Good to see you, Leroy. We've got Dakota, Bearded IT Dad, tuning in from Oregon. John Leland tuning in from Green Bay, San Francisco Bay Area. I used to live in the East Bay when we moved for a couple months ago, John. So yeah, definitely missing a little bit of that hot weather here today. All right, so today I wanted to talk about, again, this whole idea about getting lowballed, because I empathize and understand that this can oftentimes create a sour taste in your mouth for a brand that maybe was either a dream brand of yours or a brand that you were really excited to work with, and then they lowballed you and it turned you from a Uber fan into an Uber hater. I've seen this happen a bunch of times with creators that I coach. And so I wanted to kind of talk through a couple different reasons why this happens and how you can overcome those. Again, you know that these live streams that I do are for y'all. So any questions you have around brand deals, negotiations, partnerships, etc., I'll be so happy to answer those a bit later in the stream. So make sure to drop it in the live stream, and we can get to those in a bit. Derek's Lawn Rescue said, "Hey Justin, I just found you last week, and I already bought the book. Let's go, Derek. I appreciate you, man. Still waiting on delivery, and I am in Texas. Well, you know what, Derek." I don't know if you want to YOLO and come to our in-person event that is happening March 16th to the 19th in San Antonio. You should totally come. Registration is ending in about 5 days. So if you want to YOLO and come down for our event, dude, we're going to have a lot of fun. So you should come, man. It's going to be great. It's called Sponsor Games, sponsorgames.com if you want to check it out. All right, we've got Living with Parkinson's tuning in from Georgia. Good to see you. We've got Jason Vaughn. Good to see you here, Jason. All right, so let's dive right into it. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about why creators get lowballed is that they do not understand the brand's objectives. You've probably heard me talk about this before, but really at the end of the day, I come back to this as the number one most important reason that creators get lowballed, is that they try to pitch or they try to negotiate with the brand right off the bat. The brand comes inbound oftentimes and says, "How much do you charge for a YouTube video? How much do you charge for a newsletter, a podcast insertion, Instagram post, whatever?" And then the creator just spits back one number without asking a single thing to the brand about what their objectives are. And so if you have read my book, sponsor magnet, you'll know that I go over something that I call my ARC framework, ARC, awareness, repurposing, or conversion. These are the goals that brands have when they want to collaborate with creators. And the reason that this is critical is that I have this chart in the book that kind of talks about the different price sensitivities that brands have when they collaborate with creators. I like giving this very specific example. In the book, I talk about this, and I actually go through concrete numbers to help people understand oftentimes the metrics that brands are beholden to when they are negotiating with you. So speaking specifically about a conversion focused goal that a brand wants to run that they have, they oftentimes have this math that they do, that they've calculated down to a T based on previous marketing campaigns that they've run. So for example, let's say that they want to hire you or hire a creator to do a campaign, and they look at your platform and they do this calculation, which is basically like an average views, average downloads, average impressions calculation that they determine that they can use to kind of back into the math of how much they're able to pay you. So let's say that they look at your platform or your channel and they determine that on average you're getting 10,000 views or downloads per episode, per video, whatever it is. So saying, okay, 10,000 people. We estimate, based on our math of a bunch of different campaigns that we've run, we know that about 10% of the people who hear this, see this video, see this integration are going to click the link in the description box of the video or the show notes or the the newsletter insertion, whatever it is. Right? Let's just say 10%. So that's 1,000 people. Out of the 10,000 on average, they're going to watch that video. Of those 1,000 people that click on the landing page to the software, let's say, we know that let's conservatively assume that 25% of those people are going to sign up for a free trial. So that's 250 people. Of the 250 people that sign up for a free trial, we know about 20% of those convert into a paying customer. We know that our software is, let's say, $10 a month. On average, we know that people stick around for 10 months. So that's $10 times 10 months. The lifetime value of an average customer for our software is $100. That's the LTV. Multiplied by the 50 people that converted into a paying customer, 50 times 100, that's the max they're going to pay you, $5,000. They're not going to pay you more than that. And in fact, that's the break even. They don't want to just break even. They want to turn a profit. That's the entire reason that they want to work with you, that they want to do influencer marketing. And so if you are ever frustrated and feeling as though a brand is lowballing you, it's probably because they have a conversion-focused goal. And so you have a couple decisions at this point. If you make this determination that it's all about conversions and they're not going to willing to go higher because the person that you're negotiating with does not have approval to go above this number or whatever, you either you can walk away. That's definitely an option. You can decide that, like, you know what? I don't feel like this is going to be an advantageous partnership to do. There's no way that I can really win in this scenario. There's no way that I really want to do it, for this amount of money. Like, I'm just, a lot of times people take the deal and then resent the brand immediately. They're like, man, fine, I'll take the money, $500, but I'm not going to be happy about it. And then it's like turns into this whole contentious thing. And that's never made sense to me. I get it. It's money. Of course, I understand that. But I don't know. In those scenarios, I just think that you're not doing anyone favors by starting a relationship off on that bad foot right away. So yes, you can absolutely walk away, or you can continue to try to negotiate. One of my favorite tactics in this scenario is to try to help to try to determine whether some of those other objectives like awareness and repurposing might get the brand excited about getting additional mileage out of the partnership. So for example, if conversions is really what they care about and you talking about them on your platform and driving sales and all that stuff too, asking them, hey, would there be any value in repurposing my content that I generate for you that I share on my platforms natively? Would there be any value in you repurposing it for paid advertising? Right? The brand may have never considered doing that before, but again, going to their conversion focused mindset, really what you pitch is we can turn these into really compelling ads. And in fact, I'll create the content for my platform. That's great. I can also film a slightly different version of it at the same time that I'm filming that, where I do different hooks. I do a couple different calls to action. And in addition to the content that I create, I'll also turn into you basically like 3 to 5 pieces of UGC. User-generated content that you can repurpose for paid advertising. In fact, I just turned in a deal. My wife and I just did a partnership where we negotiated UGC into the partnership, and they were excited about that, right? And so even now, my wife and I are doing deals like that. And so again, at the end of the day, it's all about understanding what is the brand's objectives, and you will ultimately need to make that determination of whether you want to continue negotiating with that brand that's lowballing you or not. But instead of going on the attack mode and feeling like the brand is intentionally trying to like mess with you or whatever, flip this into a mindset of education. Let me educate them. They may have never done this before. And if they still push back, sure, you can decide that you want to walk away at that point. But what I talk about a lot is like, you saying no doesn't mean that they'll never work with you forever. As long as you maintain that relationship, you are friendly. I've had tons of brands and agencies situations where we just couldn't make a deal work at that time, but we made it abundantly clear that we would love to do a deal with them at some point down the line when it made sense. And ultimately they did come back with a deal when there was, a larger budget, or that just the numbers made more sense. So is this making sense? Let me know in the chat here if this is making sense. It seems like that Instagram never worked. I guess I have to enter the stream key before I update the channel and provide a new stream key. I guess maybe it doesn't work if after I've already started the stream. I don't know if that's a thing. Let me try one more time. Brand deal strategy planning. I'm making up a name so that I don't have to do a bunch. Okay, next. I'm gonna try one more stream key, and then if this doesn't work, I guess we won't be able to talk to people on Instagram today, and that's sad. But I was just so anxious and eager to go live. Okay. Oh no, that doesn't work. Okay, it's not working. It's fine. Instagram won't work today. Okay, one thing that I want to, the other reason why I was like frantically trying to get ready for this live stream is that I literally just got off a call with a sponsor for a new sponsor for my event. I don't know what it is, but like in the last 3 days, I've had a bunch of interest from brands who are just like, we really want to get involved in the event. How can we do this? I'm just like, y'all, this event is starting in 12 days. And now you're finally excited about pulling the trigger here. So it looks like we're going to have some additional sponsors for the event. So that's really exciting. And so just trying to get this across the finish line. Pretty insane. We've got Hannati from the KMH family here. Good to see you, Hannati. Bearded IT Dad says, yeah, what about UTG? User UTG. What does UTG stand for? Is it like user generated content? UTG. I don't know what UTG is. It's probably related to user generated content. Yeah. Dakota says UTG is so underrated too. Coming from someone that did 20K in UTG last year and already 10K this year. Let's go. Can we give it up for Dakota in the chat? Bearded IT Dad. Come on, let's give it up. Let's give it up. We've got Chris Quinn in the chat tuning in on YouTube. Chris was someone who participated in our dry run of Sponsor Games Brand Deal Wizard. Our dry run of my event, we did a live dry run on Zoom last Wednesday. And Chris, tell me what you thought of it, man. I thought it was a bunch of fun. It was great vibes. We played both the pitch game and the negotiate game. And it was so much fun. We learned a lot. So I really just kind of wanted to go through the motions of the event before the actual in-person event, smooth out some kinks and stuff. One thing that I think is like a very, I feel my most comfortable when I am pushing boundaries. Like I am someone who's always, it's a blessing and a curse, right? Because I'm always trying to push the envelope of doing new things. And this feels like a very new thing where I'm inventing stuff. I'm inventing the format of the event. I'm inventing the way in which the event is taught. I'm inventing in kind of the trivia / quiz that people are doing. And so I'm inventing all of this stuff from from scratch. And so it feels like a really big lift right now, and it's super stressful and all that. But I get so fired up and I get so jazzed up about teaching people about how to work with brands and how to collaborate, how to be more confident and things like that. And so it feels worth it to me. If the stress feels worth it because of the outcome of the impact that I can have on people. And I know that on the other end of all this hard work, there's lots of great stuff. I felt the same way about the book candidly too, when I was writing it, that it felt like the hardest thing I'd ever done. And I felt there was so many times where I got stuck and I would just like, felt like I was just running up against a wall. But I just kept this North Star of like, I really, really want this book. I want a book to exist in the universe about this topic. And there isn't one. And I want to be the one to like write this book because I have no dog in this race. I'm not a manager. I'm not a brand. I'm like not any of these things. At the end of the day, I'm an advocate for creators. I do not take a cut on anyone's deal, right? And so I wanted me to be the one to write this book. And so I felt a tremendous amount of pressure to like get this thing done as soon as possible. And so I really held myself to it. I mean, I wrote the book in basically 5 months or 6 months of just intense work. Every morning I was writing 2 hours a day. I had a time block. And so I feel the same way about this event, that like I want this thing to exist. I have very ambitious plans for this event to grow, do it, multiple times a year or different places around the world. I think there's just so much need. Sponsorships are the #1 revenue stream for like a huge amount of creators, influencers, businesses, and there's no event focused on it. And that has never made sense to me. And so I'm willing this event into existence. For a long time there, it looked like I was going to lose a bunch of money. I have balanced the budget, basically meaning that I've basically about broken even. But these last 2 sponsors that have just come in might mean that I might make a little bit of money. So that's exciting. I'm excited about that. All right. Okay, so for those of you guys who are just tuning in here, I see Sarah Dawn tuning in. I see K&J Lumber. Good to see you here. Oh, Dakota says, Bearded IT Dad says, I meant UGC. All right, no worries. Chris Tarosa said halfway through the book, and I tried pitching to a brand the other day. I couldn't find the specific email on LinkedIn though. Chris, one of the things I talk about in some of the bonuses that you get, I don't know if you've like downloaded some of the bonuses that you get when you purchase the book, but there's some software tools out there that you can use, like hunter.io, for example, that can aid you in finding some of these email addresses. So I use LinkedIn specifically to find the contact, and then I use a tool like hunter.io or Apollo or some of these other ones to actually find the email address. So hopefully that helps. All right. So moving right along, for those of you guys who are just tuning in, the topic today is the real reason that creators are being lowballed. The first thing that I mentioned here is that basically creators do not understand the brand's objectives, the ARC framework that I talk about in the book. Moving along, the next thing that I wanted to talk about is how important it is to pitch based on basically the mistake that they make is that they are pitching based on their audience size rather than the value. One thing that I saw, and I'm not going to like put anyone on blast or anything, but one of the exercises that we did during the dry run of my Sponsor Games event last week over Zoom was we did a pitching, like a real-time kind of pitching exercise where I basically called people up to the stage with me, and I was like, all right, I'm your dream brand. Pretend I'm your dream brand. Pitch me, essentially. It was so good. It was so good. Basically, we kind of went back and forth, and I pretended I kind of threw curveballs at them, and I said like, oh yeah, but our product is expensive. It's like, that should be compensation enough, right? And then people had to kind of think on the fly and what do you say and all that. And it was so great. Someone actually gave me feedback that I could have just listened to 4 hours straight of like watching people practice pitches. Like it was so great. It was like, inject this into my veins, right? But one of the insights that I saw, even from very experienced creators, was that the tendency that we all have is to just lead with ourselves. We lead with our audience size. We lead with, oh, I've got 1 million subscribers. I got 1 million followers. I got 1 million. We had someone on there who had, I'm not going to say, but they had more than 5 million subscribers. Let's say that. And this person led with their audience size because it's very impressive. But the feedback that I had to give, and people said, wow, this is like pretty harsh feedback that you're giving, Justin. But what I basically said is like, the brand doesn't care. They don't care about your audience size. There's lots of people who have large audiences out there on the internet. And so, yes, of course, objectively, 5 million subscribers is so impressive. Of course it is. But that is not enough. That's not a reason for them to take out their checkbook and pay you 50 grand. That is not a reason enough. You have to be pitching the value that you can provide to them to help them accomplish a business outcome. That is what they have money for, their own initiatives. And this creator who I gave this tough love to said, God, this is such a great reminder that really they don't care about me. They care about themselves. That's what they are allocating their budgets for. Oh, we've got this AI feature that's launching. Great. Like, you're probably allocating $1 million to spread the word about that software feature. If you allocate 50,000 of that $1 million budget, I can help you spread the word and move the needle on that specific initiative. And now that contact that you're negotiating with is so much easier for them to go to their boss, or if it's an agency, to go to their client and be like, hey, here, like, there's a total, like, there's a totally reasonable justification here for us to pay this person this money because they're going to move us closer to this KPI or this key performance indicator that we are being judged upon internally by our boss, by our client, or whatever. Is this making sense? Drop it in the chat if this is making sense. I'm going to need a 1. I'm going to need a mind blown emoji. Do not pitch based on your audience size. You have to pitch yourself based on your value, because this is how you're going to get lowballed. Is that if all you're pitching is, don't you want to be in front of my audience? I've got all these people who are maybe will purchase your product because I purchased your product, or this type of thing. And this is the pitch. This is the format of these proposals that people are putting in front of brands. It's all based on like audience size, demographics, et cetera, rather than the value that you can provide. And of course, yeah, demographics plays into that, but should not be the thing that you lead with. Okay? Do not become a commodity. When you pitch your audience size, you're encouraging your audience to you're encouraging the brand to commoditize you and compare you to any other creator that is reaching out, trying to collaborate with them. Okay? And by the way, pitching based on value is how you can start to detach your rate from your metrics. Because if you're leading with your metrics, then they're going to be like, okay, well, what's your open rate? What's your click rate on your newsletter? Like, how many people are like clicking the links and all that stuff too? If that's what you're leading with, if you're leading with audience size, if you're leading with, all that stuff, it's all about, helping like orient at the very, very start of it, orienting around their business outcome, orienting around their objective and how you can move the needle on that. Okay. All right. Let's see. Yeah. Cherie says pitch based on your value, not your accolades. Exactly. Yes. I probably should have I probably should have put like some pithy one-liners into each section of the book that were like easy to remember, but I don't know. I ran out of time, and that would have been like something that rhymed or had rhythm or something. I had a bunch of acronyms, but yeah, I should have had like pitching based on your value, not your schmalue. No, you know what I mean? Like something that rhymed. That was not a good example. Don't quote me on that one. Cherie says, pitching based on value is how you can start to detach your rates from your metrics. That's exactly right. All right, moving right along, because I want to make sure we have enough time to address some of your questions here. So again, we're talking about the real reason that creators get lowballed. And the next item is not presenting multiple packages tied to the brand's goals. So let's say that you are in the middle of a negotiation with a sponsor. Most people have a tendency to the only variance between the packages that they're providing is, yeah, you've got package 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, is quantity. That's the only variance. So you're saying, oh, I'm going to do one integrated YouTube video in package 1. And, package 2, I'm going to give you 2 YouTube videos and maybe some social posts. And then package 3, I'm going to give you, 3 YouTube videos and 3 podcast insertions or newsletter blasts, whatever your platform is. All you're doing is varying it based on quantity. And maybe the only reason that a brand has incentive to pick the top package is a price concession where you're giving them a discount. Oh yeah, that sounds good, right? When in reality, especially if a brand has never collaborated with you before and they don't have experience about your professionalism, your work quality, et cetera, they're almost never going to pick the top package or the longer package or the most quantity of the package because they've been burned before. They've worked with people in the past and they were a nightmare. And so they don't want to be tied into working with a person long-term if they turn out to be a nightmare. So they want to do some sort of initial trial or initial partnership with you that may be for a lower dollar amount so that they can get them some experience under their belt before they make the decision to double down and renew with you essentially, right? And so the biggest and most important piece of advice that I can give about how to not get lowballed, especially on an initial deal, is to ensure that your packages are tied to the brand's goals. So if you were here at the beginning of the live stream, I talked about the ARC framework, right? ARC, awareness, repurposing, conversions. And so this is the game changer, is that when you have that initial discovery call with the brand, or you ascertain some of these details about the brand's objectives in the email exchange, if you're like petrified to get on a call, they're probably going to share with you a lot of different goals, right? They're going to say, oh yeah, we want more sales. That sounds great. And oh yeah, it'd be awesome if we could get your content to repurpose it. And oh yeah, we really want to spread the word about this particular feature because no one really knows about it. And like, you know, that's our biggest challenge is just awareness and penetration into our target audience and et cetera, et cetera. That really is, you know, a pretty common thing when you're on a discovery calls. They'll tell you lots of different things. And so this is the most important piece of advice. If you listen to nothing else, if you end watching the live stream right after this, I'll guarantee you'll make at least twice as much money. Like I've got even Dakota in the chat here says 3 to 4 bespoke packages. Do you have an idea from a budget feasibility perspective what these packages should be? Yeah, that's exactly what you say. And so this is the goal, is you basically say, okay, package 1 is tied to goal 1. Package 1 is tied to goal 1. And so you say, okay, this is the awareness package, right? Goal 1 is awareness. That's what you said, right? Okay, great. We're going to do the YouTube integration on that package. We're going to do the podcast integration. That's the kind of top of funnel. That's where a lot of people are like listening, watching, et cetera. That's going to be the awareness goal. Package 2 is tied to goal 2. That is the repurposing goal, right? And so you said you wanted the content. Great. In that package, the only thing that you get is 3 30-second videos that I don't even post. These are unique assets that I'm creating specifically for paid ads or specifically for you to repurpose on your blog or on your e-commerce store or on your social media. That's the goal of a package 2. Package 3 is the conversion goal. That's going to accomplish the conversion goal. And that's where we're going to do the newsletter blast. That's where we're going to do the sponsored community posts on you know, YouTube. That's where we're going to do the Instagram story frames, where every frame has a link sticker or something like that, right? And guess what package 4 is? Package 4 includes everything. And the brand slowly realizes, wow, the only way for us to accomplish all of the objectives and the goals that we shared on this call is for us to pick the top package. Is this making sense here? You also can get even more creative and add even larger packages. I think a lot of people, they take my advice very, very literally. And what I try to implore people to do with the book is like, look, use this as a framework, use this as kind of a baseline, but you can exceed this. Like, you don't have to just be limited by the 3 to 4 bespoke packages. You could put 6 packages in front of them. If it makes sense, if you have enough things to pick, maybe package 6 becomes, oh, sorry, I got my alarm on. Package 6 becomes the in-person event. In fact, I was on my coaching call with my coaching students like 2 hours ago, and I was so proud of the creators in there because they actually have a local media company, like a newsletter, Instagram for a local, basically a local metro in the U.S., and they're crushing it with brand partnerships right now. And they were just kind of joking that like they put basically a package in front of a very large brand about putting together some in-person events, and they'd never really done that for a brand before. And the brand was like, yeah, sure, let's do that. This is awesome. And then they were like, oh, I guess we have to figure out how to like host events now. But I loved that they were willing to just kind of go out on a limb and propose something that they'd never really done before, knowing that like if the brand went for it, they could figure it out for sure, but they'd never really done it. In fact, this was my philosophy when I was when I was pitching sponsors for my own in-person event. I was like pretty candid. Like I told people like, this is my first in-person event. Like I didn't say I don't know what I'm doing, even though I kind of don't know what I'm doing, but like I'm going to bust my butt to make sure that this is an incredible experience for everyone that attends and for my sponsors. In fact, I was like just talking with my team right now about all the different things that I want to ensure that I do for my sponsors that are kind of like a surprise and delight, go above and beyond. Like one thing, for example, is like I'm putting time in the agenda, in our internal agenda, pardon me, for the event, to just make a point for me to go over to the sponsors, each of the sponsors that are participating, and make some content with them. This is not something that I promised in the deliverables of the agreement necessarily, but like, how cool is that to like, for me to come over? I've got a videographer, I've got a photographer, that I've hired for the event, and I'm going to bring them over and I'm gonna be like, all right, let's film a short, where the sponsor can talk about their thing and I can create that content. I can make a reel for them. I can send it to them. They can repurpose it. Right. So just like thinking through ways in which you can make your sponsors feel special. Also, I was on so those of you guys who are coming to the event or maybe have heard me talk about this, that the culminating event is what's called the sponsor tank. So there's going to be 8 finalists that are pitching a panel of our sponsors, like the actual rep from our sponsor, and they are the grand prize winner who does the best pitch, basically, is going to walk away with $5,000 in cash and a bunch of other prizes. And so we had a call yesterday with the the sponsors to talk about how we were going to be doing the judging, and we created a whole kind of rubric, like a scoring system. We were kind of walking through all that, and it was just another opportunity to get FaceTime with our sponsors and ask them again, what would be, I basically just like point blank said, like, thank you so much again for participating. I just want to like clarify again, like what would be a huge win for you? You know, I know you already signed on, but like, just like really hammer home for me. Like what's the one big thing? And they told me, they were like this, if I walked away and this happened, I'd be super happy. And I was like, okay. I told my team, I was like, we're going to make sure that happens, you know? And so it's so important to like not like gloss over the fact that like sometimes the brands will just tell you, they will just say to you like, look, Justin, really, if we could do this thing here, like it's all going to be worth it for us. And so that is, I think that's going to be like, in fact, like one of there's two sponsors that I'm about to sign a contract with, basically to join the event. Let me explain to you the extent that I went to make sure that this happened, and so that I ensured that I was able to align the partnership, for the sponsor to ensure it made sense. So my wife has been going through vertigo recently, and she has shared this on her Instagram and stuff like that. But it's been pretty debilitating for her. And so I kind of last minute, I drove her to an acupuncturist because she has done that before for some other ailments that she's had, and it's worked, pretty profoundly for her. And so vertigo is kind of a weird thing, right? Because it's like related to like inner ear and balance and all this stuff. And so, I drove her there because I didn't want her driving herself, because when you're dizzy, that's not safe. And so I had a bunch of like meetings and calls that I had to take in the car. But one of the sponsors that I had put a proposal in front of, while I was sitting in the car, messaged me and was like, we're in. Do you have time to hop on like a 15, 20 minute phone call to just like align on like, really, a couple questions that we have, make sure we can get, this over the finish line, et cetera. And I literally sent them a Zoom link over LinkedIn DM. I hopped on a phone call with them because they're in Europe, and hashed out the final details. And on that call, I hammered home, what would be a big win for you? They're not going to be able to like physically attend because it's just too many logistics. But like, I am always in any interaction, anytime I'm able to get on a phone call with the brand, anytime I'm able to get on a Zoom call with the brand, that is the number one question that I'm asking. So, I just wanted to like, I will do whatever I can to ensure that I have that data so that I can set myself up the best for success. Thank you. Yeah. Cherise said, poor April. Yeah. Kelly says, take her to an osteopathic doctor. Yeah. Appreciate you guys. My wife, after our second son, a couple days after my wife had our second son, she got something called Bell's palsy, which was very scary for my family. She basically had bilateral facial paralysis, which means that she could not move any muscles in her face. So she couldn't smile. She could talk, but it was very difficult. And it was really, really nerve-wracking. Those of you who know what Bell's palsy is, it was particularly troubling because most Bell's palsy is unilateral. It's on one side, not bilateral. And so we did everything. We did a spinal tap. We did, went to neurologists. We went to, and this, we had a 7-day-old son, so it was like super, she had a CAT scan, it was just really, really scary. But basically we decided to kind of YOLO and try some other methods. And, I'm the type of person who, I'm an engineer, I'm very kind of science oriented. But from my perspective, I was like, it can't hurt. Let's give it a shot. And so sure enough, she went to the acupuncturist, and within the first session, I'm not going to lie with you, she was able to twitch her lip. She was able to kind of curl her lip upward. And I was just like, this is a miracle. And so she went back, had a bunch of treatments. And so, when this happened, I was like, you know what, let's, she looked up an acupuncturist. And, so I'm hoping that, and sure enough, she's feeling a lot better after the session. So anyways, appreciate your well wishes, and I'm hoping that she'll have a steady path back to recovery. Anyways, two more things that I wanted to talk about on this subject about the real reason that creators get lowballed. The next item is having what's called a weak BATNA. BATNA is BATNA, best alternative to a negotiated agreement is what this stands for. It's something that I talk about in my book, Sponsor Magnet. And by the way, what's wrong with me? I keep forgetting to have my scrolling banner on the bottom of the screen about the book. And there we go. I've got my banner now. Something that I talk about in the negotiation chapter of my book, Sponsor Magnet, is this concept that was developed at the Harvard program on negotiations. And basically what this means is that when you are in a negotiation with a brand, if you have no other income streams to fall back on, it's pretty easy to appear desperate. You're like, I need this money. I need this money to pay rent or pay my bills or pay groceries. And so when your only income is from sponsorships and you really need that deal, it's pretty easy for brands to sense this and kind of leverage it. Right. And so this might be surprising for people to hear, but one of the most powerful negotiating levers that you can have in your own creator business is having a diversified revenue strategy so that you can kind of confidently communicate your position, which will strengthen your negotiating power. So if it doesn't seem like you're desperate, if you've got these other things that you can fall back on, if you've got affiliate marketing revenue, or you've got a digital product business, or you've got fan funding on Patreon, or you've got a merchandise line, or whatever it is, a private community, et cetera, then that can go a long way in terms of negotiating with these sponsors. And so I understand that I am the sponsorship guy. I'm the sponsorship coach, that, my job is to like help you get more deals and get paid more for each deal. But like, it is a real thing that like, if you don't feel the pressure of needing to get this deal across the finish line and taking bad deals, having this weak BATNA can be a real challenge. And one of the reasons why you're getting lowballed is because the brand can kind of smell blood, basically. Okay. The last thing that I wanted to talk about on this topic of getting lowballed is using the wrong pricing strategies. So I talk about in the book kind of the 4 main pricing strategies that people use, which is competitive pricing, cost plus pricing, dynamic pricing, and merit-based pricing. And so those first 3 pricing strategies oftentimes are going to lead to you being undervalued or lowballed with these brands because you're not truly going to understand the value that you're bringing to the table. It ties in quite a bit back to this whole idea that we were talking earlier about how important it is to pitch based on value versus your audience size. Because your goal should be like, okay, what type of value can I bring to this brand? And, in fact, this is one of the reasons why I'm so vocally against representation and managers and agents and brokers and reps and all this stuff, because the only way in which your manager or your rep oftentimes is getting compensated is by getting a cut of your deals. So they're, I got to remember this saying. It's like, show me the metric and I'll show you what gets measured gets managed was one of them. But it's like, I'll show you the metric and I'll show you the perverse incentive, or it's not that, it's something like that. But basically it's like when you compensate people in a certain way, it's going to lead to oftentimes behavior that you may not have anticipated. So when the only way that you pay your manager or your rep or whatever is 20% and they've got 19 other people on their roster, from their perspective, they do not care where that 20% comes from, whether it's you or the 19 other people, they don't care. Right. And so that will oftentimes encourage them to, push you into deals that may not be advantageous for you, push you to take deals where you're being lowballed, because again, that's how they're making money. So it's really not in your best interest, oftentimes, for you to take a deal, because you have to remember how they're being compensated. And so this is why oftentimes I think there's so much more value in you advocating for yourself as a creator, because there may be decisions that you make in your business that to a manager wouldn't make sense, but to you, it makes 100% of sense. So like, for example, I was actually just talking with one of my coaching clients about this in our group coaching program, Wizards Guild, where they were having a really hard time breaking through to a specific sponsor because there was a PR agency in the middle, basically that this brand had hired this PR agency to kind of run point on all partnership strategy. But the PR agency is kind of like a nightmare to deal with. And so my recommendation in this specific instance, I very rarely advise like, oh, go around them, and like talk directly to the brand. But my angle that I suggested this creator take was like, hey, you have a little bit of relationship with the brand directly, go and offer to do a lunch and learn. Go offer to go to their facility, bring in coffee and pastries, go out of pocket $200, whatever, for you to get in front of all 15 people on their marketing team, get in a conference room. It's all good vibes. It's a lunch and learn, coffee hour, whatever. And you just talk about, this business that you're building regionally. You've got, 15,000, people on your newsletter, in your local, local community. You understand what they're thinking, what their hopes, their dreams, their fears are, worries about the economy, like worries about losing jobs, like whatever. You can just like very credibly speak to that because of this business that you've built and go in and just like establish that initial rapport. Do you think a manager or a rep would ever advocate doing something like that? No, they'd say, oh, make sure you're getting paid your worth and they got to pay you to do something like that. And like, here I am being like, no, it's not about maximizing the amount of money you make on a per deal basis. It's about how do I establish this relationship such that I'm maximizing the amount of money I make over the lifespan of this relationship, not on this one particular deal. So like, yeah, I've gone out of pocket on, lunch and learns, coffee, Zoom things, whatever, where I never, ever even got a deal from that particular brand or that particular agency. But on a whole, I absolutely, that tactic across lots of brands that I did that with, paid off handsomely over time, right? And so it's this, I talk about this a bit, it's like this Moneyball approach to pitching and to sponsorships. It's not about how much money you're making on any one deal. It's about your overall strategy and employing the best approach across all the brands that you're collaborating with, okay? Is this making sense? Is this making sense? Kelly Hart says, my daughter has cerebral palsy and the osteopath has been the only thing to help her with her contracture. I call it voodoo, but it's been life-changing. I totally get it. Kelly, you are amazing. One of my best friends growing up, he was misdiagnosed with cerebral palsy for years and years. And he was finally properly diagnosed with dystonia later in his life, in his early adulthood, and had an intervention that really changed his life. And so, yeah, but I mean, he was one of my best friends. And so I saw the tremendous challenges that he had growing up. And so, I can only imagine how that's been. And you're just such an amazing person to be there for your daughter throughout all that. All right, I'm going to take a swig and then I am ready to dive into questions. All right. Okay, we got a question here from Derek's Lawn Rescue. I mow overgrown yards for free, but I made a poll and 65% of my audience actually said that they struggle with staying cool in the heat. How should I pitch these brands in an email to find out their goals? Holy cow, that is a really, really great insight. So the instant thing that comes to mind for me is like two things. Like one is those neck, not neck gaiters, but like the neck things that you can put in the freezer. You put water in them and they freeze, or maybe there's like something in there already and you just freeze them and then you put them around your neck. Is that the types of brands you're thinking of? That's where my mind went. And then also like a neck fan company where they have these things and it's like a fan right here. I think maybe you probably know what I'm talking about. I don't know if I'm describing it properly. But like, dude, the pitch does not need to be that complicated when you have this data from this poll that you did, because you literally say to them, hey, I saw first of all, you go back to the rope method, which is, what I talk about in chapter 1 of my book Sponsor Magnet is, understand, are there any campaigns that are relevant to them right now? Heck, like, staying cool in the summer. What I would probably do is I would scroll back on that brand's Instagram and see what they were posting last June or last July, because maybe they had a 4th of July promo that was happening, or maybe they were doing some early summer promotion, whatever. And lead with that. So Derek, in the subject line, you say #SummerCool, in 2025 ? If they use the hashtag related to their product or something, that's the subject line of that email. And then in the body of the email, go back to the rope method, right? Relevant. Your pitch has to be relevant to a campaign that they either ran in the past or are running currently. O stands for organic, meaning that you can link to organic content that shows that your audience has an affinity. And so this is the O. That's the O, is the organic thing. So you link to the poll, or you embed the poll, a screenshot of the poll in your email. You say, I would love to expose my full audience to your solution, who are, 65% of them are having trouble with this. Here's what I can do for you. I can do 3 YouTube integrations. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Happy to share results of how I've helped, this other brand achieve results. Are you free on Thursday at 10 a.m. to talk about this? And that's the pitch. You don't need to overcomplicate this. Having that data that you did on that poll is a huge, huge hack. And anyone listening here, if they're not understanding what Derek really did here, is that he was doing something that I call psychographic research, where you're actually asking your audience about problems that they're experiencing, what's keeping them up at night. For you, Derek, like what are the biggest challenges that you have on the job site when you're mowing lawns or whatever it is, and using those insights to actually pitch brands. Think about how much more of a compelling pitch that is now. When you're reaching out to these brands, you're not just being like, I think my audience will love this product, wouldn't they? Right? You're saying like 65% of them are having an active issue with something that your product solves. That's a great pitch. So much more of a compelling pitch, right? Let me know in the chat. Give me a mind blown emoji, the praise hands. Give me something here. Give me something. Mark Szymanski says, just finish sponsor magnet. Very thought provoking. Mark, I super appreciate that, dude. I really, really do. And I can't remember if I asked you for this or not yet, Mark, but since you just finished it, would you be willing to leave a review for me? That would mean the world to me, because reviews matter so much in the early days after a book launches. And so you can just go to sponsormagnet.com/review and it'll hyperlink you right to the review page. So sponsormagnet.com/review. That goes for anyone here. If anyone has finished the book and you have not left a review, this is the implicit promise of you being on these live streams where I, provide my time to you and I provide my expertise to you. The implicit promise is that you will review the book. If you purchase the book, you will go and review the book. That will be the best gift that you can do. The best gift that you can give me. So if you haven't ordered the book, or if you haven't, first of all, if you haven't ordered the book, you should order the book. But if you haven't reviewed the book yet, that would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go and get to some other questions here. My crafty adventure. Holy cow here. I just see your comment here. I am going to need to highlight this on the screen because my mind is blown right now. Y'all, my crafty, I'm just going to screenshot this. I'm going to go like this. Ready? Okay, there we go. That's a great one. My Crafty Adventure says, talk about paying it forward. After I read Sponsor Magnet, I bought 2 for friends. Now they have purchased for others. Holy cow. Well, first of all, thank you so much for that. That is so incredible and gracious, and I super, super appreciate you. Thank you. That is incredible. And My Crafty Adventures is setting the example for everyone here, I guess, because that's super cool. Okay. I think My Crafty Adventures had a question here. My Crafty Adventures said, I have some great brands to work with some great ideas to work with a specific brand. However, with only 1,600 plus followers, I am struggling to understand how I will help them with such a small reach. All right. So, my advice always in this scenario is refer back to this section of the book on page 29. Wow, I flipped right to it. Go back and reread this section, My Crafty Adventures, about the sponsorship continuum. This section is called Don't Target Giant Brands, Be Realistic. And what I talk about in this section is that where you're at right now at 1,600 followers, first of all, it's not nothing. Don't put yourself down. Don't basically think to yourself like, who am I? I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers like all these other people on the internet. Like, what value could they possibly see in me? Don't assume that your 1,600 followers doesn't mean anything to them. They may look at your 1,600 followers on YouTube or on TikTok or on podcasts or some platform and be like, wow, that's so impressive. How did you get 1,600 followers? Especially if you're in like a really specific niche, right? So don't assume anything, okay? Don't assume anything, okay? However, you have to change around your mindset about what you actually pitch them when you reach out. Probably when you're pitching a brand in the early days, where you're at, My Crafty Adventures, it's not, hey, let me talk about you on my platforms. They're going to look at your following. They're going to look at your YouTube channel, your Instagram or whatever. And okay, yeah, you're getting 100 plus average views. Probably not going to move the needle for them. I'm just being real here, but that's okay. Because what you can do is just slightly change up your approach. You're going to say, hey, look, I'm going to do an overall kind of holistic audit of your brand's social media strategy. I'm going to look at your blog. I'm going to look, hey, do you have a podcast? Oh, you don't have a podcast. That's interesting. Oh, I'm going to look at your YouTube channel. Oh, you don't have a YouTube channel. Or, oh, you don't have a YouTube strategy. All you're doing is posting your like 30-second TV ads on YouTube. That's not really effective, right? You're not going to say that to them, but you're doing your audit, right? You're looking at their e-commerce, their Amazon pages, and their pictures are not great, or they don't have videos on there or whatever. They don't, maybe they are posting on social media, but they're only doing it every 3 weeks, or the content isn't great or whatever. And you come to them and you say, look, love your brand, but I think you could be telling your brand story in a more compelling way. I would love to create some content for you on autopilot, 5 to 10 videos a month, 5 to 10 I'll create a podcast for you. I'll be your YouTube content person. I'll create content for you. I'll create a TikTok channel for you. Whatever it is, the gap that you identify, it's going to be 10X, or 10 grand a month, or 5 grand a month, or $2,500 a month, or whatever it is. And by the way, go take a look at my YouTube channel, because that is my portfolio. So what you pitch has to change based on where you're at in your creator journey. Is this making sense, my crafty adventure? So you're looking at yourself, you're looking at your 1,600 followers as a bellwether. It's this big weight around your neck that you feel is prohibiting you or preventing you, or an obstacle preventing you from getting and working with these sponsors. But you just have to change this around in your mind and be like, okay, if I was the brand, what value could I bring? Niche subject matter expertise, content creation expertise, because if they didn't have to hire me, they'd have to go out there and hire a production company or actors and actresses to star in that content, people to edit that content, then pay Facebook and Instagram and YouTube to distribute that dang ad. And guess what? I can do all those things myself. I am a production company in a box. This is the value that you're bringing to the table. Maybe you can do some consulting for them. You could say, hey, this is what I've learned over the last, here's one thing that I think not enough creators are employing. There are millions of businesses, millions of brands out there, literally, just in the US, not to mention around the world, that would absolutely love to have an extremely online consultant, someone that they pay, I don't know, $1,000, $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 a month, to have a Slack room with them where all you do is you have your finger on the pulse of what is going on TikTok, on Instagram Reels, on YouTube Shorts. What are the trending sounds? What's the thing that's blowing up? Because because you're on there, you're swiping on your FYP constantly, and oh yeah, man, I bet I should make a video about this because this trending sound is blowing up. For you to take that trending sound that you found early because you're extremely online, you drop it in the Slack room with this brand and be like, hey, early trend right here. There's only 100 videos that have been made about this. I think this is going to blow up. And oh, by the way, here's the angle that I think that you could insert your brand into the conversation here. And guess what? I'll also make the content for you as part of this deal. Not enough creators are employing that strategy. And I guarantee you there are brands out there who would gobble that up. Who's going to be the first? I've had a few people do this, but not enough people are doing it. So someone here on this live stream, I want you to do this. I want you to pitch a brand. Maybe you're negotiating with a sponsorship, but again, you come to them with this idea. They're not asking you. No brand is thinking of this. It's you. You proactively have to go and pitch this to the brand. So the next negotiation that you're in, I want every one of you here to commit to me that when you get the opportunity to pitch this to a brand, you put it as package 6 or you put it as package 5 and be like, here's a creative idea. Here's something that I could do for you. And then the brand is going to come back to you and be like, oh, this is interesting. Let's talk more about this. Okay. How are we feeling? Are we feeling good? Come on. Okay. I know we've got a bunch of people in here commenting, but there's even more of you here who are live watching this and you have not commented. So if you are a lurker and you're here and you have not commented yet, you are required to drop a 1 in the chat, to drop a smiley face emoji, to drop a monkey covering his eyes emoji, to let me know that you're here, to let me know that I am not alone, that you're hearing what I'm saying. I'm gonna take a swig because I want to see the monkey covering the eyes emoji. Okay. Hold on a second here. Hold the phone. Liz Bianco just said, I just got the mail and a brand check was waiting for me. Sponsor Magnet, and all you teach made it possible. Come on, y'all. Let's go. Let's give it up for Liz in the chat. You know that I have to pull that one up on the screen, and you know that I'm going to take a screenshot of that one. Let's go. Oh yeah, there we go. Guys, Liz, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of you. Isn't that a great feeling? Don't you just want to like inject that into your veins, Liz? Oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. All right, there we go. Okay, there we go. Mecca is giving me the ninja emoji. There we go. John Leland says, you got this. I love to see it here. Love to see it here. All right. Derek says, I know exactly what brand I need to pitch this to when I know how to find their email. Well, the good news is that on page... don't worry. Actually, let me just look at my table of contents. I'm so glad I made the table of contents in this way because it makes it so much easier to find the section that I want to highlight. Okay, page 65. The section is called Type This Magic Search Query to Uncover the Best Person to Pitch. So when you get your book, Derek, you will know that it'll show you the exact title of the person that you need to target. And then when you download the bonuses from the book, it'll show you kind of the software programs that you can use to ascertain the email address. All right. Let's see here. The Bearded IT Dad says, what do you do with all these screenshots? I use them. I have a secret massive screenshot database where I post them on Twitter and LinkedIn and things like that. In fact, you want to know something fun? I've never showed anyone this, but since you asked me, I'm going to show you something that you'll probably enjoy. Okay. So you probably know this, that I've done, okay. This is so fun. I've never showed anyone this before. Let me see if I can blow these up, make these bigger. Hold on. Show view options. Okay. Here we go. Okay. So, I'm going to show you two things. Okay. So let me share my screen. So, every single time I get tagged in social media about the book, like on Instagram or like on Twitter or whatever, I save the image. And I have literally hundreds of pictures of people tagging me holding their book. And so I don't know. I just feel like this is like a cool thing to have. And then I also, in addition to the book selfies, I also have, hold on. I have this one you guys will really appreciate, I think. Okay. Sorry. Is this super dorky that I'm showing you this? I just feel like it's super fun. So I have, okay, here we go. In addition to the book selfies, I have, this. I've done about 100 podcast interviews over the last couple months. And every single time when I finish the podcast interview, I ask them if I can take a screenshot. And almost like a huge percentage of the time, I've sent them the book. And so I'm planning on doing kind of like a video, like a collage, like posts about all the people that supported me over the years or over the last, year basically to promote the book. And so I have literally hundreds of screenshots of people, of podcast interviews that I've been on, communities that I've spoken in. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like this is fun. This is cool. I'm going to do something with all these images at some point. I haven't posted any of these, but yeah. The other thing that I've done that I also didn't share is that throughout the process of writing the book, I filmed videos basically every week, talking about the process of like where I was at and like what I was struggling with. And like, I just want to make this like montage video at some point being like behind the scenes of writing a book I think I'm going to do something like, I don't know, something like, probably I'm going to like release it or make the video when I hit like 10,000 copies sold, maybe, where it's just like behind the scenes of writing a book that, reached 10,000 creators, or I don't know, that's a terrible title, but something like that. And it's fun to look back on those clips actually of like the struggles that I was going through. And I just I want to like reach through the screen and like put my hand on the shoulder of Justin from like March of last year when I was just like banging my head against a wall and be like, is this the right book to write? I don't know. Am I going to like ruin my business by doing this? Like, man, I had some low moments when I was writing the book. Because I was scared. I was scared that I've said this before, but like, why buy my $1,500 course when you could learn the information for $9 if you buy the ebook? Obviously, that's a very simplistic, explanation of it. But like, and there's way more information in the course than the book, and concrete examples and numbers and all that. But that was a fear. That was like a irrational fear that I had around it. But again, I went back to this like North Star that I had, which was just like, it's not about me. It's not about me making money. It's not about me lining my pockets. It's about impact. It's about how I can serve other people at this point in my career. That is what fulfills me, and that is what excites me. And I know that that's what I need to be doing. And like, that was the only thing that got me through those moments. Cause like, man, it's like, when faced with like massively disrupting your business model, right? Cause that's what I do. I educate, I have a course, I have coaching, right? That a lot of people, I think that prevents a lot of people from taking a swing like this, because they're afraid of how it's going to disrupt their livelihood, right? And so, yeah, I'm not on the other side of it yet, like completely on the other side of it yet either. But because frankly, my course income has dropped. I think I've mentioned, maybe I haven't mentioned this, but like, I knew that was going to happen. I knew that there was going to be some cannibalization of the course after I put the book out. But the reason that I was kind of comfortable with that, is that, I really feel as though the coaching program that we have, I want that to become the main way in which we serve people, because the ROI is so crazy. Right? You're not paying us a cut of your deals. You keep 100% of it. We're basically on speed dial for you whenever you need support with your pitches and your negotiations and all that. And so like, it's just such a profoundly better experience for us to be in your corner on an ongoing basis than like go through an on-demand program once and then like, good luck, kiss you goodbye. Like, good luck out there, like that. I don't want that. I want to be able to support you on an ongoing basis. So, yeah, it's still scary though. It's still scary that I've done this, that I've massively disrupted my business in this way. But it feels like the right thing to do, given where my heart is at. So Sheree says, I bought the book after buying the course because I like learning in different ways. I happily paid twice. Well, you know what, Sheree, that means a lot to me. I super appreciate that. And yeah, that does really, really mean a lot. Derek says, I'm glad you did because I don't have a lot of money and I believe the book can help me earn enough to continue to grow. Well, dude, I wrote the book for you, man. I wrote the book for you. I absolutely did. And so the fact that you said that really, really means a lot, man. The Bearded IT Dad says, I actually had someone reach out to me about writing a book and they claim that I do, that I do a few interviews with them and they take care of the rest. I don't know about that. Yeah. That I definitely have had a ton of ghostwriters kind of pitch me on that early on, but I ultimately made the decision to do it myself. I did hire a book coach early on to kind of help me with some early structuring ideas and things like that. But I wrote every single word of it. I did not even use AI for this at all. I just felt like it was really important for me to sit at that blinking cursor and let that torment me until I really figured out what the next best thing was to say. But yeah, it was. I'm so glad I wrote it. Hanati says, Jess, I'm so beyond happy for you. You are amazing and have been such an inspiration in our lives these last probably 4 years or so now. Thank you for being you. You're so very welcome. And I want to give a shout out to you, Hanati, because I love using your example. So Hanati got free access to the course, to Brand Deal Wizard, because I have this referral program where if you share my newsletter, with 100 people join my newsletter because of your referral link, you get free access to the course. Free access. Actually, it might be 200 now. I think I've changed it. Sorry. It's 200. And Hanati, at the time it was 100, I think. Hanati shared the referral link to my newsletter on, I believe it was your YouTube community tab once, right? And got 230 people to sign up for the newsletter and got instant access to the course. Holy cow. I thought that was so amazing and it was just so dope. So I so appreciate you being an advocate for me and for my business over the last 4 years. It's really, really meant a lot to me. Liz says, the book is a great way to get the basics and then jump into coaching. Well, Liz, I appreciate that. That's my hope. I don't know if I think that's true. I think that there's just, the tricky thing about this whole online business thing is that there's no right and wrong answers. it's like a million different shades of gray. It's like I could do this or I could do this. Or I could maybe do this over here, or I could do this thing up here. And they all seem like equally good ideas, right? And so it's really, that's why I'm such a big fan of like learning, of even myself, of like taking courses and working with mentors and coaches. And, you know, cause I want to like be surrounded by people who can provide me guidance of things that I don't know. It's just really hard to like make those decisions and know whether it's the right move. But I appreciate you all for letting me vent here, share my insecurities and my vulnerabilities, because we're all going through it. But if I can help any of you, even in a small way, I feel profoundly fulfilled and humbled by that. So anyways, thank you so much for showing up to the live stream each and every week. And I will see you all next week. Peace.